everyone. A warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us again for this new Wednesday with two new topics and also two new wonderful speakers that is here with us today. We do this every Wednesday as an initiative of the company, Cogent IBS, to create an informed community. So thank you so much for the leaders and for the topics for today. Let me give you the first topic, which is entrepreneurship and megatrends. Recognizing timing of a megatrend is what separates entrepreneurs from those who simply become a part of megatrend. If you're curious about the topic, here with us to deliver it, Mr. Dave Ives from UK, an entrepreneur, man of faith, father, mentor, leadership developer, network marketer, and in many ventures has been a successful builder of market strategies, many of them being the fastest to achieve success within its organization. And not to prolong, deliver the floor to Dave Ives. Please take over.
Phil, thank you for that wonderful introduction. And to the whole organization and platform, LetUsTalkIt, what an honor to be asked to share some time with each and every one of you that are here today and come across this platform. And my subject really is to maybe get people to understand that question or thought maybe that we've had once in our life. That life question being, I wish I'd been in the right place at the right time. And also, if I had only known back then what I knew now, would I have taken action? And my subject's about entrepreneurship. My background's very simply, I'm in my mid-50s now, but from a very young age, I embraced entrepreneurship by default. I don't think many people get into entrepreneurship naturally. Because our system, particularly here in the European market, has always taught us to get those grades, and which are vitally important. Education's key, and then get foot on the ladder, as it were, into that sort of corporate mainstream of working for someone else. And we sell our time for money. And the more education we get, the more pounds, yen, dollar, euro we can command per hour. And we spend 30, 40 years working. But at an early age, I woke up to a realization that I was never going to get what I wanted while I was working for someone else, getting them what they wanted. They would only pay me enough to help them achieve their goals and dreams. And so very early on, I was traveling. And I think success is always about a little bit of luck, being in the right place, and paths crossing. I was a young man in my early 20s. I was traveling the United States of America, and I was met and presented an individual who was a stranger to me, but I was in a room where he was presenting an opportunity. And at that young age, I always discovered as well, looking back in hindsight, that nearly 30 years ago, how early on in my life, I'd already been conditioned to think a certain way, and that when I was presented with opportunity, rather than looking at it and embracing it and maximizing it, I was looking at the reason why it wouldn't work. Why? Because that's how I'd been conditioned. And so I think when we start to look at entrepreneurship, one of the things is having the ability to see things that yet aren't. The future, a vision. So as you think about this, maybe reflect upon, are there things that we are living with today in our lives and our daily activities that we utilize, we access, we participate in, yet 5, 10, 20 years ago, the name, the brand may have not even been an association to in our thinking. Let's talk about that. You talk about the internet. I am speaking with you today across a digital format, but utilizing the superhighway that in 1992 wasn't even in a thought process. And yet today, everything we do tends to access the internet for us to access it. If I had said many years ago, Amazon today we know is the one-stop shop where most of us would go to purchase anything that we require, knowing that the delivery infrastructure is in place. Yet Jeff Bezos started in his garage thinking, how do I move these books? And today it's now a drop ship platform. Netflix, I'm sure we've all heard of Netflix. Most think it's a film platform. And yet, really, the entrepreneur knows it's not a film platform where the masses watch films, but the entrepreneurs understand it's a subscription model. $9.99 a month in the pound currency. I can access films 24/7 from my smart device. But what if mainstream TV 20 years ago was going to be told that it would be competed against by the millennials who access their news feeds, their TV, their entertainment, not by main terrestrial, but they could download any program they wanted. They wouldn't have to wait for their program to be aired on a weekly basis, but they can download the whole series of their favorite film and program immediately. See, megatrends happen all around us. The masses don't know it's happening. Think about this. Uber, I don't know if you've ever used that application, but there is no loyalty, and I'm here in the United Kingdom, there is no loyalty to taxis. An individual wants to get from A to B. And if they ring one taxi firm, business, and they're busy, they can't get a taxi to you in the time frame you need, you'll ring another taxi firm. And yet Uber, a megatrend, an application, came into an existing market and disrupted it. Imagine that being able, what can you do as a potential entrepreneur, as a business owner, knowing that the future belongs to those who actually see the future, where it's heading, and put themselves in front of that major growth curve. If you look back in history, history will show us evidence that a few create the future, the masses follow the innovators, the trendsetters adapt, and the majority follow. So as an entrepreneur, it's about addressing what really serves people. Is there a real need for what you may be bringing, whether it be a product or a service that would actually serve the end user? Because not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone wants to own their own business. Not that they couldn't, not that they don't have the skills already developed within them, just need to be unleashed. But many love the security of a paycheck. Many love to be told when to turn up, when to go home, how much they can earn. And based on that, then can go and create a life that dictates the home they live in, the car they drive, the holidays they go on. All that is dictated by the income that someone else values that individual. Well, for me at 21, 22, my eyes were opened to entrepreneurship. There's a saying, once seen, you can't unsee it. And the reality is, today the globe is a small village. Digital revolution, the superhighway, has brought us closer together, has connected us more than ever before, and yet we're more disconnected than we've ever been. The digital revolution is a tool, and the high tech has, to a degree, replaced the high touch. And so what if there was a way that you as an entrepreneur, someone that has a seed of it within them that says, is there more? Is there a way that I can design a life of choice rather than being dictated by someone else's value of my own academic qualifications? Because if that is a case, an entrepreneur is beyond just making money. An entrepreneur is not about making money. An entrepreneur lifestyle, an entrepreneurship is about how do I impact significantly others, their lives, their health, their finances, their culture, their community. But how can I impact that makes a significant difference in a positive way? Because if you can do that, you don't make an income, you create wealth. And there's a big difference between creating a job scenario, and there's nothing wrong with careers. Many of people I care about have great careers. They are passionate about their field of endeavor. whether it be from being a cardiologist to a financial advisor to an educator in the primary schools. That's a passion of theirs. One thing I would say about success, whether it be in the employed route or the entrepreneurial route, is you must find something that you align with, something that creates a passion within inside of you that then makes you realize, I'm not just turning up, I'm showing up. And you have to show up in things that make a difference. And it's very often when you find that thing for you that resonates, then very often if you're an entrepreneur and you're at the forefront of a mega trend, the masses don't see it. The masses don't understand it. You think about this. Do you think the masses understood Amazon 15 years ago? Do you think the masses understood Mark Zuckerberg when he created a social platform that we now today know as Facebook? But he started it in his dorm so that he could exchange pictures with other dorm mates. That was the starting of Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook. The masses today think it's where we post our dinner pictures to show people what we've eaten. But Facebook is the #1 advertising platform on the earth. Who would have thought that would have been a mega trend in digital marketing? So when you understand that being an entrepreneur sometimes requires us to see things that yet aren't, but make the thing become a reality that the masses then now participate in their daily life, not even understanding that they are living in what was once the vision of a mega trend. So the question you must ask ourselves as we start to develop and question ourselves, am I an entrepreneur? Would I like to design a life of choice? Is that something I could actually get excited about? Because it doesn't fit everybody's box. Some like just that element of certainty. Others like to be creative. Many like to live life to the fullest and know that there's going to be failure en route. But many would love to be successful, but they try to avoid failure. Entrepreneurs know that success and failure live together. You have to go through failure to get to success. Why? Because if success was simple and easy, many would be more successful than they already are. And that's why mega trends are important. Where do you feel that the world, the globe will be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now? Have you ever had that intuition of, that's something I had thought about maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I'm in my mid-50s, Phil in his 20s. But reality is I can look back and pinpoint several times in my life where I'd been sitting and just thinking about, if only this was available, if only with this, how many people go through life thinking, if only this, do nothing about it, and then 5, 10, 20 years later, someone's done this very same thing, but took action upon it. Entrepreneurs take action, even when they don't know the next step, because they're moved to make a difference. So entrepreneurs want to make a difference. They want to make an impact. They want to make a significant difference. And the biggest thing that I've seen from when I've journeyed on my entrepreneurial journey is we want to create legacy. Something that carries on in your absence. Something that will replicate, duplicate, and for generations yet unborn can look back and go, that individual, that man, that lady, that individual company, that couple made a difference starting out with a small goal, huge vision, and then was brave enough to take those steps and make things happen. So development is key to megatrends and entrepreneurship. Our personal mindset, our personal ability to communicate, our personal interaction, our ability to walk into a room and know that we have value, that we can make a difference. Whether it's just a community exchange of making someone feel better once you've left because they met you. the ability to develop an opportunity, the ability to develop a vision, to take a vision and then bring it into the realms of everyday life. We only have to look left and right, and we see evidence that the ones that make our life better today are the ones that had a vision, created a megatrend, and the masses followed. So the question that I was asked, and I'll leave it with you now, is do you see a brighter future for not just you, your family, your community, your culture, your country? Have things changed? Are things changing? Are you the reason for that change, or are you being caught up in the change? Because we either make things happen or we watch things happen. So megatrends are real. Entrepreneurs seek them out daily to make a significant difference. So I hope that your life is about fulfillment, and that you, at wherever you choose to be, in a career path and into entrepreneurship, even if you're in a career, treat that profession like an entrepreneur, like it was your business, even though you may be in a company structure. Treat it like your business. Do more than what you're paid for, because there will come a time you're paid more than what you're doing. When you bring value and you make an impact, then people want to know, how did you see it? How did you know before it became? Because most people live each day when they get up with their vision of their eyesight and not their vision of how they want their life to look down the road. So Phil, it's an honor to be on the call. I just wanted to really share concepts and share a little bit about how to impact people, because everybody knows what to do in life, yet most people have not attached why they're doing it. Once we define what it is we want, how we want our life to be, then we can look for a vehicle that will enable us to achieve our goals and our aspirations. So I appreciate that this platform, what an honor to be on. And I know that many people with the speakers that you've had previously and ongoing, this is an incredible community to bring great value in every people's endeavors and walks of life. So credit to you as an organization, and thank you again for having me on.
It's been really a pleasure to have your presence as well. Thank you so much. And yes, we are open to like question and answer. That was a wonderful session. But I'm just curious. In the introduction, it was mentioned that you have ventures that has been successful, of like a builder of market strategies. Is there a story or an organization that you have helped build, or like you built, like a story about it, like how it worked and where it is now?
Sure. I mean, a lot of people, there's whatever we do, whether it be a product, a service, or an opportunity, there's generally a route to market. And traditionally, most people have bought from a traditional means of distribution. There's always an end chain. So we take our hard-earned money and we'll exchange that currency for maybe a product, food, service, whatever it may be. But in that chain of distribution from the source, the manufacturer, there's people that profiteer on that movement. Now, the product that we buy at the end, when we consume it, is not the cost of what it costs to make. So people are profiting, okay? So I became aware and awoken to a D2C, a direct to consumer model. Instead of going through the traditional marketing and taking my hard-earned money to a retailer who profited off my hard-earned money, I became the middleman. And so when I talk about markets opening, there is an industry called network marketing. There's an industry called direct to consumer. And that basically, there's a source, a manufacturer, product or service, and there's an end consumer. But there's an opportunity that you become the middleman. And so before, many years ago, that was looked upon as an alternative distribution chain. Today, we can actually say very confidently that no matter what market we're in today, what would consider the old-fashioned brick and mortar. The industry of brick and mortar, direct traditional marketing, is a dying beast. We're moving from brick and mortar to click and order. And our next speaker, I believe her subject matter is about content. And that's why content's so valuable today, is because you've got to learn how to attract people differently than what used to be done. And so I've been, my background is sports. I was a rugby man. I used to play competitive rugby. Then I was into hospitality. Neither of these were a skill that actually prepared me for what I do today. And so the other thing about entrepreneurship, Phil, is very often we sometimes in our life, maybe in our late 20s, maybe in our 30s or 40s, I don't know if this relates to anybody in your market, but in the United Kingdom, we do have a term called midlife crisis. And that midlife crisis really is an indication that we've realized we've worked for 20 years and we're not where we thought we would be. And shoot, we're running out of time to even get there. And that's when we start to understand I was trained and educated in one field, one vehicle, pounds per hour, linear marketing. No one taught me about leverage time, leverage skills, leverage sales. And when you do understand leverage, you can take an idea, a concept, a marketing strategy, and you can implement that into a market. So many times I've been part of a company that may be coming to a market, and I'm an independent man. In entrepreneurship, I've never worked for a company, but I've aligned with maybe their product or their service and helped them to take their product or service directly to the consumer and build a distribution channel. And I've done that in the health and wellness space, which I'm presently in right now. I've done that in a home care company. I've done it in products that people, this is really interesting, with products that people don't think that's glamorous, but they use every day. See, when you have a niche product or service, you're looking at a niche market. When you have something that the masses don't want, but need, then you can take anything to market, create a megatrend. For example, I'm now presently in a concept called test-based nutrition. Think about this. Many years, people would be taking nutrition through marketing, through endorsements, through clever TV advertising campaigns, using celebrities. And we are educated that if a celebrity is promoting something, it must be true. Not knowing, if we haven't pulled the layers back, that celebrity's been paid millions to promote something they wouldn't take themselves. That's called marketing. So when people start to realize, hold on a moment, I could actually build a business model, a D2C, a direct to consumer, like a franchise in e-commerce, in a drop ship strategy. Isn't that exactly what Amazon is, Netflix is, and it has a global reach? So that's how I got started several years ago, Phil. But you take that concept. What does a human being want over what do they need? So, because when they want things, when we hit a global recession, which is approaching rapidly, and for entrepreneurs, that's exciting. Why? There's more people who are ready to wake up to entrepreneurship because they're looking for security. They're looking for that additional income stream. Now they've been vulnerable to a global issue. So that was a long answer to a short question, but the reality is, you know, people are more open today to entrepreneurship, and they're starting to understand this wasn't even available 15, 20 years ago. People didn't even know they could communicate from a smart device. People didn't realize how big this was before you were born, Phil, where the size of the phone was like that and you carried it with a handbag. Now today, Apple have created such a community that people will exchange a very good working phone and stand around a store for 24 hours to get the brand new one in September. That's called culture and community. What if you can create that in a mega trend and change lives?
Wow, really mind blowing. The answer was really worth. Thank you so much for sharing that in a division as well. So this is great. This is really a great discussion that we have today. Thank you so much, Mr. Ives. All right, now for anyone else would like to share their insights or open questions.
Yeah, David, I think if you spoke, let's say 30 sentences, I think that really represented 30 years of experience. That is the way you make this session so engaging. You really kept it at a high level, I think, consciously, though you could have taken a deeper dive into so many aspects. It's pretty, lucid and, engaging session. I have only one question. So let's say you're trying to help a startup company, just assume that, you are like an advisor for a startup company, because in LetUsTalkIt ecosystem, we have many startup companies that we invested in, and then we are trying to provide support in various ways. So if you were to be an advisor for a startup company, what is the value that you would bring to that startup company?
From a startup company perspective is really, first of all, you've got to believe in what you're starting up in, that it's going to be bringing value, because when you're starting up, you're going to do longer hours than you've ever done for anybody else. So there's got to be a passion, right? There's got to be a passion attached to whatever you're starting up. And then know that if it goes to plan, what is the timeline? If it goes to plan, and then multiply that several times over, because there are going to be roadblocks in a startup, but you've got to be prepared for that. So I think due diligence is a key to a startup, and the due diligence from a perspective is, what I'm trying to bring to market, is there a genuine need? Is there a genuine value? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's services or products or any field of endeavor, there has to be ultimately an end consumer. And so that's going to be a value to it. Secondly, after the due diligence, just realize you're going to get resistance. There's resistance against anything that's new, resistance against anything that may be at the infancy of innovation or change. Or so most startup companies come thinking they've got a brand new idea. Well, if they have, and most of them do, they've got to be prepared to, it's going to take a while to make that market penetration. So they better have a strategy that will protect them, because it's going to be an up and down journey until the masses accept what they're bringing to market. So due diligence, is there a real need? 2, do they have the tenacity? Do they have the persistence? Do they have the durability to see it through? And one of the things I've discovered it personally and sitting with peers is those 3 things are influenced by one thing and one thing only: their desire to make it happen. So all these things are characteristics, but those characteristics are attached to what is the real thing I want to develop. So it's got to be important to them. If it's not, then if it's just I would like it to happen, it'd be great if it would, wishful thinking, then they're not really ready to be a startup. But when they are, what they're saying is, I have a great idea, a great concept, and I want to get this out there to the masses, but I've got to be prepared for resistance, setbacks, and what do I have in place that will help me through those barriers until I create a breakthrough to, ready for this, acceptance from the masses.
Yes, I think you hit it on the nail, starting with due diligence and the very need in the market that we should look for. So that those are really, it's a lot of wisdom. Thank you so much, and we definitely will stay in touch. I think Krishna from LetUsTalkIt team would collaborate further with you.
And thank you, Krishna. I just see her name there. Krishna, I appreciate you reaching out and inviting me. And to the whole platform here. It's an honor, and I wish each and every one of you tremendous success in all your fields of endeavors.
Thank you so much, David. Are there more questions? Okay, that silence says yes. I guess it's delivered very crystal clear, and the message is very well said. This is what Let Us Talk It is about. The experience that comes with the information, and now let's go to the next topic. Definitely, as Dave, the first speaker, mentioned that content is definitely one of the key. That will drive success, and content writing, also we can say maybe persuading whoever reads the content. So the next topic is content writing and its strategies. So it is content writing is the process of planning, editing, and writing topics typically for digital marketing purposes. This session will cover all that is required to become a highly paid and reputed writer. And to deliver this topic is Prativa Leo, which is not her last name. It's her dad's. But yeah, definitely. It was written still. Communication specialist at IDP Education Services. And also with an MBA from the University of Madras, along with a diploma in French, C1. So Prativa has over 6 years of work experience in the field of linguistics, communications, and e-commerce, and definitely the best person to give us about the details on content writing. Thank you so much. So please deliver the content with us. Take over, please.
Thank you so much, Phil. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. So hi, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to thank LetUsTalkIt for actually inviting me to this, because it's truly an honor and an ultimate privilege to be speaking with such distinguished people. And before I start, I would like to first say a huge thanks to the first speaker of the session, David, because he delivered a kick-ass introduction and an in-depth session about entrepreneurship, which most of us were not aware about. And in that 30 minutes, he was able to bring in like 30 years of experience. So it is a complete honor for me to present along with him. So without further ado, let me just share my screen and I'll walk you through what I have planned for the session today. So I'll be taking you in depth in the field of content writing. So as Phil introduced, I have a total work experience of about 6 years in the field of communications, linguistics, and e-commerce. And content writing is a field wherein I had taught myself it. Like I just used Google to learn content writing end to end. There was no mentor, staying by my side and guiding me to do this and to do that. And this is one topic which stayed close to my heart because I'm currently freelancing in this field as well. So I just thought, why not choose this topic? Because I think it will be pretty much useful in today's day and age, especially in the climate of recession, because this is such a booming career. So the agenda which I have planned for today is I'll be walking you through the introduction to content writing. And the second of which will be walking you through the myths of writing, which normally most people do think this career exists in. And then the types of content that you can typically create as a writer. And the fourth one is the writing tips that can set you apart to become a timeless writer. And the last but not the least, is how you can look out for clients and how you can become a highly paid writer in this field. So as the definition goes, content writing is the process of planning, writing, and editing web content. Now pay attention, this is web content. This is not normal content which you see in banners, because let's face it, back before social media had taken its advent, you would have seen advertisements, you would have seen commercials back in hoardings, and you would have seen probably a celebrity, like what David mentioned, celebrity endorsing a product. And you thought that it was a celebrity who was speaking those words. But behind those words are a team of writers who analyzes the feelings of the customers, and then they deliver that accordingly. So here, in the difference of having it in a web space, is where you're mainly focused for digital marketing purposes. Especially ever since the pandemic, content writing has become a booming career with massive space for huge opportunities. And opportunities, I mean that you can earn so much more than your normal corporate job. And this is such a promising career, which is still in the hidden market, but it is still picking up pace thanks to the world of digital marketing. So the next, let's break some common myths in this career. One of the most common myths that I heard ever since I started as a writer, or ever since I wanted to start this career, was you need to be a pro at writing, which is completely not true. You do not have to become a pro at writing. Trust me, if you were a pro at writer, then we would be stuck in an age where Shakespeare was writing poems, or Shakespeare was writing some kind of a thesis or something like that. And that doesn't happen in content writing at all. You do not need to be an expert in grammar. You do not have to be a pro at writing. And the most ridiculous myth out of the whole lot is you need to have British and American English to become a writer, which is completely not true. You just require 7th grade or 8th grade basic English, conversational English to ace as a writer. And trust me, to become a highly paid content writing freelancer in a service-based industry. You need not have any technical expertise, thanks to Google, because with the help of Google, everything can be learned. The art of Googling is one skill that you have to learn before you start out into the space, because you have everything that you want to search and you want to research thanks to the internet. And the number one tip that I want you as a writer or an aspiring writer to focus is the mantra which I follow, which is research is greater than writing. Let's face it, we all believe that a writer means is someone who just writes in a web or in a piece of paper 24/7. But that's just not how things work, especially in the space of content. You have to be really, really good at research. And that just comes with practice. I'm not saying that you need to be a pro at it. You just have to believe that research is always greater than writing. You need to spend more time on researching about a subject, and post which you spend your time in drafting that. So always remember, before you venture out into this space, the mantra that you have to follow is research is greater than writing. Now, once we have busted all the myths, let's go on to the section where we can see what are the types of content that you can normally create. Even in my situation, when somebody told me that content writing is a career, the only thing which came into my mind was blog post, because I never knew that there was so much of stuff that a content writer can do. I only thought that people can write articles. Articles, and articles. That was all was content writing about. But that's just not how things work in this space. There are so much types of content that you can create, from video scripts to newsletters to podcast titles to social media posts. The opportunity is enormous. Let's take video scripts, for example. Now, I think you might be familiar with popular video YouTubers like Jay Shetty or Matt Diavella. You think that they are the ones who are speaking out of their mind. They are just speaking spontaneously. But most of the time, there is always someone who is behind the scenes, who is writing the script for them to speak. And that is actually a content writer. They exactly write the script for what it has to be presented on video. Now, am I saying that this applies to all YouTubers? No, absolutely not. This does not apply to all YouTubers. There are, even in the cases of Jay Shetty, there are some videos which he delivers naturally. Even there are talks which he delivers naturally. But most of the videos are scripted, because you never know what's happening behind the scenes. And this is one of the most demanding fields of content writer, is when people, or let's say hugely accomplished YouTubers, approach you to write a video script for their YouTube video. And the second thing is newsletter. Let's say you're an aspiring entrepreneur, or you're a writer, or you're a freelance marketer, or you're a social media manager. If you have to be connected to your audience, you need to have a sound newsletter in place. And I'm not telling you to write a newsletter which has a clickbait-worthy title. It's just not that. You need to even have content that sells. And how do you write content that sells? Is mainly by researching. You need to research the market. You need to research as in what is it that you're going to write, and post which you can develop your customized newsletter. I have landed just one gig based on the newsletter that I had written 2 years ago. I did not give them any portfolio. They did not even get on call with me. They just saw my newsletter and they even offered me a gig. And that's how huge the importance of newsletters are. And the next thing is podcast titles. The same way as video scripts, even for speakers who are behind the podcast scenes, even they require a script. Most of the time, 95% of the time, it is the creator who writes the script. But 5% of the time, it's normally a writer who writes what is it that the speaker has to speak. It can be topics varying from lifestyle to productivity to social media to entrepreneurship. You name it, there are people who will sit down and hands down write the topic based on the podcast genre. And out of this whole lot, the most common gig that the content writers land is social media posts. Now, if you're a user who uses Instagram, or you use Twitter, or you even use LinkedIn, you know how highly competitive the field is today. Like, your entire personality is dictated on a social media post. And that is exactly how vulnerable and how volatile social media posts are, because it just analyzes your totality of personality. And just 300 to 350 words is what you need to write in a social media post to determine your caliber. And especially for a creator or for someone who's juggling multiple stuff in one, they would hire a content writer mainly out of this whole lot to write social media captions for them. Because ultimately, if you are someone who's promoting your business on social media, if there is one thing that the customer is going to buy from you, is the way you write your captions. And your captions are something which is going to enact a trust in the customer's mind. And only when they trust you, they will buy from you. And for that to happen, they need a crisp and a polished writer who can write neat social media posts. Not just for social media posts, the same applies even for website copy as well as for landing pages. Treat your social media and your website as your portfolio, because let's face it, in this field, nobody's going to ask you your resume. Nobody cares about your resume at all. Everyone just asks your testimonials, your portfolio as in your website. Your website should consist the list of articles that you have published. That is exactly how you're going to be validated as a writer. So in this field, you need to be pretty much consistent if you are aiming to make a consistent income better than your corporate job. And it usually takes 6 months to 9 months to see good results. And it all takes lots of efforts. Now, this list might seem pretty much overwhelming, but when you just break it down step by step, out of this whole lot, if you just focus only on blog posts, do that for just 3 months. Do just that. Offer your services for blog posts for 3 months. See what your customers are saying. Research about it, learn about it, get testimonials, get feedback, and based on that, extend your services. Because if you do everything, every single thing which is in this list at all at once, trust me, you will fail at everything. It's like half bitten over here. It's like just well begin and half done. And that's just not how a writer should behave. So you can just focus one subtopic in this entire list. And once you've mastered that, you can then take over and broaden your horizon. And then you can venture into the field of copywriting. And as you venture out, collaborations and competitions will actually move away, and you'll get in more brand collaborations, more than you can imagine. So the takeaway from this section is, I want you to just focus on one particular aspect. Either it is blog post, or either it is landing pages, or website copy, or social media posts. You can even do podcast titles later. And when you have established yourself as a good writer, or when you ventured into this space for about like 2 months sharp, then you can start writing newsletters. Before you approach your clients, one advice that I can give you is do all this for yourself. Write newsletters for yourself. Send it to your social media tribe. Ask feedback from them, genuine feedback from them. The reason why I'm telling you is, I have a whole lot of virtual friends more than offline friends. I met a wonderful lot of people, especially in the pandemic, and I have learned so much from them that they give me honest feedback, constructive feedback. Even if it is negative, it is in a constructive way. And that is the reason why I'm telling you to have a good social media presence. For a writer, it is necessary that you have a LinkedIn profile, and also good enough to have an Instagram profile. But really, really mandatory to have a LinkedIn profile, because that is how you're going to establish your territory. And that is how people are going to know you as a writer. Now, Let's move on to the next section. Let's see about some of the writing tips that can set you apart. Now, these are some of the timeless writing tips which I have been following personally, and I hope that it's going to benefit you as well. The number one tip that I want you to follow is follow the 70-30 rule. Now, remember the mantra that I've been talking to you about in the previous slide, that research is greater than writing. Same way, spend 70% of your time researching and only 30% of your time on writing. It should never be the other way around. Because as a writer, you need to establish yourself as an expert. And trust me, nobody is here an expert, including me. I learned many things only by online and only by networking with people and just by Googling. So you need to Google a lot to come to terms with the product. Because, for example, let's say that a client wants you to write about the education industry and you don't know anything about the education industry because you're working in a fashion industry. Just imagine. How will you write something about that? You can't just tell your client, hey, I don't know. That is what content writers are for. You have to have that research skill so that you can research about the education industry, which is present in our country. And then accordingly, you can write a topic to that. So always follow the 70-30 rule, because what differentiates you from the rest is how well you can Google, how well you can research, and how well you can deliver that. The next tip is you have to be a minimalist writer. You have to keep your sentences as short and as crisp as possible. You cannot just write sentences which are like 80, 90 words long if they can be put apart in just 25 words. Always make sure that your sentences are short. Now, when I say this, you might think if I just keep my sentences short, people are going to think that I don't know English. But that's just not the way how it works here as well. You know, it's how you communicate to the audience, how you make them understand. That is what matters. And that's why I'm telling you to be a minimalist writer. And one of the main important points is you need to write in a conversational style. It should never be like they have gone out to do this. You should never write in a third person tone. You should always say something like, if you do this, you will be happy. It should be addressing to the person directly. But let's face it, not a group of people are not going to read your emails. A group of people are not going to read your articles. There's only one person behind that screen. So you should always keep in your mind that you're going to address only to that one person and write an article just keeping that one person in mind. And you need to write something which is casual and conversational. Now, this will differ. Of course, if you're getting something which is a bit more formal, like you have to present a data, you cannot write something which is conversational, but you have to make sure that you write it in a first person's directive and never in a third person's directive. It should never be something like they have done this, because if your article has they, them, us, we, it will never work out. It should always be you do this, you can do this. If you follow this will be the end result. Because at the end, the customer has to know from where and to where you're going to take them. They'll be in one destination and you're going to take them to another destination with the help of your article. And that's exactly how content writing journey works. And the next thing which you have to keep in mind is always put your customers first. It's never you. You're not writing for yourself. If you're going to write for yourself, then that is journaling. The difference between content writing and journaling is content writing means you're writing for a client. You're writing for someone else. You're not writing for yourself. Journaling means you're writing for yourself. So always make sure that you put yourself in the shoes of the customer. The content should always come from the customer's point of view. Because if a client is telling you to write something, you need to first dig deep and you need to understand what is the pain point that the customer is then facing. So accordingly, from the customer's point of view, you need to write an article based on that. Only when you write according to the customer, the end user will resonate with your words and then they will take an action based on your article. And they'll even get to know stuff about it. And likewise, you need to be empathetic in your words. You need to add emotions. If you have read ad copies, or if you have read copies of some courses, what makes you actually buy those courses? What makes you invest in that membership is because They are touching a hook. They are touching you in some point or the other. And that is what's called as empathy. You need to understand the psychology of your customers. Only then you can sell something. And that strategy not only works for copywriting, that works even for content writing, because that's exactly how you can get clients. You need to be empathetic. You need to add emotions. And also you need to put customers first. It's always the customers. You need to be customer centric. And the last, you can follow the numbers rule. Now, you need to have stringent data to differentiate what is it that you have. You can't just say there are many schools that are existing in our country. Out of that, you can just say there are 10 schools which teaches this particular subject, which meaning that there is a specific which is present in your content. When you have certain specifics which are written out, the end user will normally think that, okay, this person has done so much of research. I can trust their article. I can just blindfoldedly, I can just go in and buy what this person says. This is one tactic to even get and secure trust of your customers. Now, I've spoken to you about how you can write good content, how you can ace yourself as a content writer. Now, the only one question is, where do I find clients? The only answer that I have is social media. Social media is not just for entertainment, but use it as an edutainment platform. It has a combination of education as well as entertainment. You can reach out to potential clients via Instagram, via LinkedIn. I've gotten many inbound leads mainly because of Instagram. My Instagram profile serves as my portfolio. So it's not just that you can use LinkedIn alone. There are so much to learn from Instagram as well. So you can reach out to potential clients. Either you reach out, or by just seeing your work, they will reach out to you. If it works the other way around, you're doing a fantastic job. But in the beginning phase, you need to reach out to potential clients. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to trouble them. You need to cold DM them. You need to ask them every day, hey, can I work for you? No, it's never like that. You just reach out to them once a week. You do a proper networking strategy. And then at least from 10 or 20 people that you reach out, at least one client, one person becomes your client. And then you get on a discovery call with them. You need to understand what your client requires. Now, this is actually where most of them loses their clients. This is where it's like the deal or the no deal stuff. This is where the deal breaks. When you get on a discovery call, you need to listen as a writer more than just bringing in your thoughts. You need to listen to your client's pain points. First, you need to understand what is it that they are talking, and only then you need to share the ideas that you have. So in that discovery call, allow the client to talk, because there are so much of information that they can offer, and you can even learn so much from your clients as well. And once the discovery call goes really well, you just send them a normal agreement telling them that you're starting this project. This is the end date, this is your rates, and you can expect the deadline or the tentative date to be so and so. And now they have accepted your proposal. You will get an email confirmation, and then you can start writing on your project. Now, just imagine one client, if they're just going to charge you, let's say in Indian rupees, if they're going to charge you 3,000 or 4,000 rupees, just an assumption. Imagine if you have like 20 clients or 40 clients, then you're good to go. You are like ready to quit your corporate job and then venture into this field as such. But I don't want to be someone who's going to give out instant gratification strategies, because trust me and mind you that this is going to take some time, because you need to be patient. You need to be diligent. You need to be consistent in what you do. Because if you don't be consistent, and if you just reach out to clients like once in 6 months or once in 3 months, it's not going to work. You need to make sure that you're upskilling yourself so that you stand out from the competition. And that's exactly how you become a writer. You need to be very consistent in this space, and you need to also be very patient and not compare yourself with other writers, because it is not fair to compare your chapter 0 with someone else's chapter 100. So patience and consistency goes a long way in this career. And I really hope that people who are listening will ace themselves as a writer, and I hope I get to meet you all as future writers. So thank you so much, Phil. for allowing me to mentor everyone on this topic, because it's something which is very close to my heart. And I can open this forum for any questions or any queries that they may have. Thank you.
That was perfect. Thank you so much for delivering us the message, and with your experience regarding content writing. That's really awesome. Now, yes, as mentioned, we're open to questions, but while waiting for those who would like to ask, do you have like an online class that you do or seminars regarding this topic?
Yes, I do. I do offer one-on-one coaching. I do offer group coaching as well. But depending on the needs, it's like more of one-on-one coaching, because people do feel like group coaching is a bit saturated. So in case if anyone wants to become a writer, I do coach you guys one-on-one, and I'll teach you how to build your skills as a writer. Even if you feel like you don't have any, I'll be teaching you all that so that you can become a highly skilled writer as well. So feel free to DM me on Instagram and as well as on LinkedIn. My name is Pratibha Leo. It will be the same on both platforms. So you can just shoot me a DM or an email, and we can take it forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, any insights and a question as well for our speaker?
Hi, Pratibha. That's a very crisp presentation, and
Thank you.
it's so evident that each word, each sentence you spoke, meant a lot, because that shows your experience, and you delivered it so nicely. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
for the wonderful clarity.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Srini. Yes. Any other questions and insights? You can type it in chat. I can read it for you, or in the Q&A section.
Yeah. Hey, Pratibha, this is Ravi. Thanks a lot for taking time out. It was very insightful. I think, I think the way you presented it was quite organized and easy to learn.
Thank you,
So,
Ravi.
yeah, do let us know how we can collaborate. And
Sure. My
yeah.
my LinkedIn DMs are always open. You can just shoot me on a message. So I'll be available on LinkedIn and as well as on Instagram. If you feel like LinkedIn is much more comfortable, you can just DM me and we can take it forward.
Sure, that would be great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ravi. And yeah, we have from Satya. Thanks for the wonderful insights about content writing. All right. Okay. I guess this wonderful topics has been delivered very clearly to our audience today, and we very much appreciate your time for both speakers, the knowledge and the experience you have shared to us. Like, it's kind of short of a time, but definitely like the message was very crisp enough to fulfill the actual knowledge that we need for these areas. And for those who are in line with these topics today, feel free to watch the uploaded video over YouTube and also in our Facebook page. So please subscribe to our YouTube as well for this wonderful topics and like webinars that we do every week. That's Wednesday. That's 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time, and then that's 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. IST. So that's India Standard Time. So I guess that concludes for today. Thank you again, speakers, and thank you for the audience who attended. We wish to see you again next Wednesday, the same time, with two new wonderful topics and speakers as well to be with us. So pleasure to meet you all, and take care as always. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.